Was first class.
Yeah,
How is your father? How is your father?
Yeah, now day before yesterday he was discharged from hospital. Now he has actually recovery well.
Okay, great.
Day by day improvement will be there.
Right.
So Rajendra,
Yeah, sir. Good evening, Sharma ji.
good evening. How are you?
Yeah, fine.
Hello, Mr. Rajendran.
Sir, good evening. How are you?
Good evening. Fine.
I know, Mr. Ramesh Kejriwal. I was met you in the meeting, one meeting in the Delhi. Yeah, we will actually discuss about on time regarding the package only. You are actually submitting your report on the time. It's very useful on that time. After a long time, I actually meet you now.
Yeah. We all meeting in totally different circumstances.
Yes, sir. It's a new one for everyone.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even your hereditary after your in our period, everything has been new for us.
Yeah.
Even though you up to your age, you cannot face like this, maybe.
Yes, of course. It's a challenge.
Yeah, definitely.
How Mr. Ramakrishnan ji, how are you?
Kalita sir, good evening. First class sir. आप कहाँ से गुवाहाटी से बोल रहे हैं? कहाँ से बोल रहे हैं?
I'm from Guwahati.
Guwahati. Okay.
I cannot move now because you know all this what is happening.
I know. Good to
Good
see
evening,
you.
President.
Yeah. Good evening, sir. Yeah, my
So Kalita,
yes, sir. Please.
today you are in a white shirt, huh?
Yeah. Today because yesterday
Not like
it was
red one.
yeah. Yesterday it was red one. Today I am white.
शर्मा जी आपको बराबर दिख नहीं रहा एक्चुअली बैकग्राउंड थोड़ा ये है क्या उधर कुछ लाइट आ रहा था
One light is there.
Where the light?
पीछे लाइट कोई रिफ्लेक्ट कर रहा है शर्मा जी
मेरा?
हाँ
आपके पीछे या ऊपर सीलिंग पे है कोई लाइट इट इज
I'll just check.
maybe the position of your laptop or camera is that way.
Of Technova, what is Technova is very important for us. Argeji.
Sorry, Kalita ji.
Yeah, what I'm saying is now your rule is very important. Because
Sir, आप लोग सबका रोल हम लोग तो सिर्फ we will follow your guidelines.
no, it's okay, but our Prime Minister, what he announced, but this is for that was I'm telling you, because your industry is very important for us today.
Okay. I think Ramesh ji and Bhuvanesh ji are much more stalwarts in the industry. But anyway, I will share my perception.
Yeah.
Bhuvnesh ji is yet to join.
No, he has not joined. Bhuvnesh is not joined so far.
And replica, yeah, he is still not replica page.
So do you all use Zoom regularly for your video calls, or you are on a different platform?
No, we are on Zoom. I mean, with the leadership team or internal, or otherwise, if it's there just 2-3 people, then you can just have a call, conference call also.
We do on Teams, sir.
Data privacy, you are able to manage, because if at all you get the servers linked.
Yeah, but you are not hatching any plot, so there's nothing to worry.
Okay. So we are not allowed on Zoom. So I'm just using my wife's laptop because we can't even download Zoom on our official network.
Okay.
And sometimes through the web browser, the connections are very bad. But I don't know. We are on Microsoft Teams and WebEx.
Yeah, Teams, Microsoft is also good.
Yeah.
But I think on Zoom also you can have some confidentiality built in through your server.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can do that, so you're more secured.
Correct.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I hope I am audible.
Bhajinder Singh ji.
Yes, sir.
Ajinder,
Yes, sir.
you are all set now?
Yes, definitely, sir.
Okay.
But sir, you are looking quite different today.
I'm looking different because there is I've not done the saving,
No, I think this is your new avatar, post-COVID.
Okay.
But
Sarmaji,
still, you're looking fantastic,
Yeah.
But you have, Sarmaji, you have maintained.
See, this is what happened when you give the time at 4 o'clock. So people try to get in at 4, because if we have to make the people to be there, because I was told that registration is crossed more than 400.
450, I think.
Yeah. So I think the people will start coming in at 4 only. No problem.
No, it's almost 4, almost 350 now, almost 4.
Yeah.
So I think we can start, Raghavendra.
Mm-hmm.
In Guwahati, it's been a heavy shower now. Rain is going on, heavy rain.
Okay. Yeah, I guess East India, Calcutta, Orissa.
Yeah. Right now is a heavy shower outside.
Okay.
Heavy shower outside.
Flights have started today, I think, the rest of India in a limited way.
Mm-hmm.
God seems to be very angry. There is COVID crisis, and then now he's giving cyclone, and many other natural calamities are coming one after the other. It will be a tough one for the East to fight both fronts.
Yeah, it is a tough.
It's not so easy to fight both fronts.
Mr. RK, how is Pranav bhai?
Pranav is fine. Pranav is fine, Rajendra sir. He's fine.
He's in Mumbai. He's in Mumbai only.
Yeah, he's in Mumbai only. I think he will join this. I think Mr. Baru had asked him. Sharma, you have sent a message to him as well, right?
Yeah. I requested him to join.
Yes.
Mr. Sharma ji, can you believe how much registration today?
Yeah, I was told 415.
I think it will be crossed after all 10 minutes. More than 500 may be crossed. But our capacity is 500.
But Kalita, you should also know who are the people on the panel.
Yeah.
It is not all India. It is the Ramesh Kejriwal,
Yeah.
Samir Patkar, Bhuvneshwar Power,
Yeah.
The people want to listen to them.
You also are heavyweight, one of our confederation. You also heavyweight.
It's okay. I'm part of the federation. No problem.
No, it's okay.
The issue is that whoever the panelists are and whatever they talk, even they do not know what's going to happen.
You need to be an astrologer only now.
Earlier, government has announced that when it will come the summer season, so COVID-19 will be decreased. Now it is, I don't know, but already summer has started. No decreasing. Every day is going up only.
Raghuveer, are you there? Barwa? Rajendran, whether other people are joining in this ones? Because just check whether the people are logging or not. It's almost 4.
Yes,
Sir, I will check with Barua and I'll come back to you. Sir.
Do that, and please telephone to Bhubaneswar also, no?
Yeah, okay. I will check once again, sir.
I think one message from Ravi. So we have to start. Hello, not yet started. Our IPP said. So we can start now, I think. Arjinder, we can start
Yes,
now.
So as you say, because there are not many.
Hey, Arjinder, how are you?
Fine, sir. Good evening, sir. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. Just now I see you. Yeah.
Good to see you after such a long time. Because we have been discussing only on phones, and this COVID-19 has practically made all type of meetings, physical meetings impossible.
COVID totally diversify our all attitudes.
Yes, definitely. I think 60 odd days have been given by this COVID to understand life.
Arjinder, let me tell you, the people became more busy because they are now all the time on Zoom. Okay?
Zoom. Yes.
So the virtual meetings are going on practically every 1 hour.
Yes, that's correct. That's correct. And I'll just add to it. Imagine if this COVID-19 had happened 100 years earlier, then what would have happened? This is
my dear secretary, we can start
when
now.
there were no virtual meetings possible during that time, so it would have made life more difficult.
That's what would have been done actually during the Spanish flu in 1918.
Yes.
And I think the amount of casualties there was running into huge. So
50 million.
At that time, it would have been really there. No personal meetings could have been possible. No travel, no connection of what's
absolutely.
happening. So,
Absolutely.
much bigger. And that was actually coming out of the World War also.
Yeah.
Yes.
Is it showing the number of people who are logged in?
Yes, sir. I have checked.
Now, where is Barwa?
Barwa is here.
Yes, he's here.
No, but have the people started checking in?
I'm here. You can see at the bottom.
Where?
All the people who are logged in must have logged in somewhere else, right, Mr. Barua? I think you would have to allow them to come in.
No, they'll be logging in here itself. Sharmaji, I'm here.
Okay. There right now 9 participants is what this bottom number says.
Yeah,
only we are here now.
I think the host has to allow to log in.
Yes, correct.
Because there are no participants as yet.
Yes, correct. Host has to allow them to come in. There must be something that they're waiting there.
No, yeah, that's what they are logged in here itself.
No, but
where they are logged in?
Participants is showing only 9 numbers.
That's only the people right now what we have here. I think all others must be waiting at the reception or something. You'll have to allow them to come in.
Yeah.
No, as soon as they check in, this will directly pop up. Nothing more needs to be done.
There must be some icon which.
Yes, it'll pop up as soon as somebody.
But then why it is not increasing? Because it is constant. The participants.
Yes, that's why.
There must be some icon where you have to allow them to join. You have to check that. I think it's otherwise the number of participants will show. Who have logged in.
Correct.
No, but Rameshji, earlier what we got it done in our Rotary platform, that the number which was shown in other ID, I don't know whether they have done it that way or no. Otherwise, the number will shoot up.
Actually, Sharma ji, उसमें अगर जाएंगे तो उसमें लिखा है panelist 9, attendees 0. So I think what you should do is there must be something to actually get the attendees into it.
Yeah, I think that is. Barwa, why don't you say that?
Anybody wants to join or not?
It's if you click onto that participants, that shows 9 participants, panelists, and 0 attendees.
Yeah, that you can easily see. Yeah.
And 0 attendees.
ब्रॉडकास्ट को ओके करेंगे प्रैक्टिस मोड होगी ऊपर दिस कर रहा है
maybe should somebody me check with some known
Barwa.
Okay, मेरे पास
attending 0 it is showing.
No. Ramesh ji, I got a call from someone that is not getting checked in.
Now the attendees have come in. Attendees are now 29.
That is 41.
Yeah.
41 now.
Correct.
68, 61. It is increasing.
Yeah. So now all the people who are there have joined now.
Now attendees are coming.
Now it is going. There was some hitch.
Yeah.
105.
That is the problem.
It's going like polling counting.
Sorry, I just got.
I'll also just come up. 1 second.
Now it's on. We had a slight technical problem that has been sorted out.
Yeah, I could see that number of attendees now are 159.
Yeah, we had a slight problem. We sorted it out.
Now.
How much?
159 plus 9 panelists, 160.
171.
Yeah.
No, but there was some hitch, Barwa, there was some hitch in the beginning.
No, because there are two hosts, so we had a slight problem in the coordination. It's fixed now.
Yes.
Yeah, but what I'm saying that I think wait for another 2-3 minutes or 5 minutes, then let's start.
Yes, sir.
Because there's a lot of area to cover, huh?
Sure. We are almost near to 50% now.
Yeah. See.
Okay.
I don't do anything else. Mute and mute and.
If it happens, you can't. This.
Oh.
And Raghuveer, once when you start, you please mute everyone, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, please make sure, huh? Otherwise the voice will keep on coming.
Arjinder, can we start?
Yes, sir. We have
Give it.
100.
No, give 2 minutes, Rajendra. Give 2 minutes.
Okay.
Right.
Because I think there was some hiccup was there in the beginning itself. The people were not coming in.
Now 191, Sharmaji.
Yes.
That is what I'm saying. The 415 is the total registration. It's still, it is not going up to. Anyway, but we'll start after 2 minutes.
Sure, sir.
Sharmaji, you're only pixel. We cannot see you. The video is left.
Who?
You.
Yeah, I have purposely kept like that. I will just
Okay. Fine.
because I don't want to show my this dadi to everyone here.
Oh, sorry.
No, not sorry. I'm just kidding.
No, it's okay.
Sharmaji, that is a symbol of COVID.
Yeah.
It's not a symbol of COVID, but I think it is a laziness on my part.
I never accept this.
Yeah, I know.
I think Robbie has sent some. Can you hear me, Raghavendra? Please look once. Robbie have sent some message.
Rajendra, Bhuvnesh is coming or no?
Sir, we have already tried 2 or 3 times, sir, but we are not able to connect him.
Oh, is it?
Myself and Datta also is from the morning itself we are trying.
Okay. Not an issue.
But he is already accepted yesterday also.
Yeah, I know. He spoke to me also.
I think we should start.
Bhuvnesh has come. Hi,
Oh.
Bhuvnesh. Good afternoon.
So should
Good
we
evening.
start?
Good afternoon.
Bhuvnesh ji.
Yeah, good evening, Bhunesh ji. How are you?
Fine, how are you? Thank you. Sorry for late joining.
No issue.
No, we are not starting.
Should we start, sir? Because I think all the panelists have arrived now.
Right.
Right. So, good evening and welcome to the second edition of AIFMP Web Council on Print Future. So, I'm your host today for today's session. My name is Harjinder Singh, and I feel proud that accompanying with me is my co-host, and he's doing not a small task like managing the backhand of this complete session, and he's doing the task as big as his name, Shri Raghavendra and Datta Baruaji. So with this, we'll start, and I'll introduce you with the today's guest, and our guest for today is Shri Divyajyoti Kalita ji, who is President AIFMP, Shri S.K. Sharma ji, who is past President AIFMP, Shri K. Rajendran ji, who is Honorary General Secretary of AIFMP, and now the panelists, today's panelists are Shri Ramesh Kejriwal ji, who is Chairman Pakson's Packaging, Shri Sameer Patkar ji, President of Heidelberg, India, Shri C.G. Ramakrishnan ji, CEO Technova Imaging Systems Private Limited, Shri Bhuvnesh Seth ji from Replica Plus. So welcome to you all, sir. So COVID-19 has changed the entire world as it came into existence. Very seldom has any one of us witnessed such an unfortunate incident to happen in our entire lives before. We have recently witnessed many changes that have happened in our daily lives. One of the major outcomes of these changes is that physical meetings have changed to virtual meetings. So AIFMP came up with a smart solution and helped in connecting the entire printing industry and all related with it through this virtual platform, and thereby proved that the federation is strong enough to break all barriers. So now, without taking any much time, I'll now invite the President AIFMP, Shri Divyajyoti Kalita ji, to give his welcome address.
So good evening to everyone. I, on behalf of All India Federation Master Printers, do welcome all of you in today's FMP Web Council Print Future, a holistic view. Friends, as you are aware, the global scenario has been totally changed due to COVID-19 pandemic. Now, situation demands we should live with the virus until and unless the permanent solution in the form of vaccine is available. Lockdown taught us to make a habit. If following prescribed guideline COVID-19 in our day-to-day life and warn us about public gathering. This is very important. Today we are here to respect the same. Webinar is not a new concept now, but a very popular and useful tool to go ahead with our business schedule. But we are office OB level. We are discussing so many things. This is our main subject. After that, we finalize our office OB level. Earlier, we organized our web council on export promotion and collaboration with other vendors. And that is our past president, Manojji, back us. And today I am very much happy to announce that today's Web Council has been organized by directly our AIFMP, All India Federation of Master Printers. And we have received a warm response. I think this Zoom capacity, we have a 500, but already you are aware more than 50 members already participating. My earnest request to you all, please provide your valuable feedback and which will be motivate us and help us further improvement. I am very grateful to our distinguished panelists today, Mr. Ramesh Kejriwal, Chairman, Paxson Packaging, Mr. Bhupesh Seth, Replica Press Private Limited, Mr. G.C. Ramakrishnan, CEO, Techno-Bioimaging System Private Limited, Mr. Somil Patkai, President Heidelberg, India, for sparing their valuable time, agreed to share the rich ideas on their specialist field. I thank our past president, Mr. Shashi Kumar Sharma, for their keynote address today, and Mr. Harjinder Singh, our chairman, International AIFMP, is for moderating today. And I must say one name, because he behind all this, Mr. Raghavendra Dattaborwa, he is a joint secretary all in the Federation of Master Printers. And our honorable General Secretary, Mr. Rajendra, today he is going to vote of thanks. So before I conclude, I am very much happy today announce again, because our immediate past president, Ravi Joshi, and most of past president, and all OB members, and most of GC members will be participating in the Web Council today, and my thanks to all them. I welcome all the participants and invite them to exchange their views very clearly with the respected panelists to make the whole program most innovative and successful. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President, for sharing your views about the Federation. And without taking any much time, I think I'll invite now Shri S.K. Sharma ji, who is past president of All India Federation of Master Printers, to please give his keynote address. Thank you.
Thank you, Harjinder, for your the warm startup. And thank you, President, for your giving the overview of All India Federation of Master Printer, what they intend to do it. And I'm very happy today because the panelists, those we selected, are the people who actually drive the printing industry of India. So I think it is very, very important that, okay, we invited them and they are over here. You know, friends, when COVID comes to somebody's mind, it creates all kind of a hiccup, anxiety, a fear, a uncertainty, what will happen the next. And according to me, I think it is a temporary phase because the COVID-19 has given us a different way to live the life. It is not something which we should be fear of. I think too much fear in the mind of the people, let me tell you, the solution will not come out. The solution will come out with the positive attitude, with the positivity to work on. And that's all about. When I say the positivity to look about, what I feel that there may be a hiccup for the next 6 months or maximum 9 months to come. But let me tell you, the printing industry will grow multifold. Because according to me, the COVID-19 has given us the great opportunity to be a global player in future to come. And I mean it. This is my actually the future, whatever objective I have in my mind, I feel that printer or printing industry of India will have a bright future. Having said so, let's see a two aspect of it. One aspect, which is a shortcut aspect, the people they talk about. Will government give us the subsidy? Will the bank will reduce the, the interest rate? Or we will be not paying the interest for the next 6 months. Friends, these are the short-term objective. But you being a printer and you know that you are into the toughest industry of the world, I think you should be more innovative, more positive, more looking at the prospect and the opportunity, what is knocking at your door, will be a right path and right way to look at. Some of the good practices which people have to now adopt, according to me, you know, we printer are always, once the things start, we are not even bothered about our environmental issue. The issue which is pertaining to the safety of people, safety of machine, safety of material, and all that, you know. And this is going to be, according to me, is going to be very, very important aspect for any industry, apart from the printing industry, because this is something which is very, very applicable across the industry in India or abroad even. When I say safety and environment means, I think people, they normally feel that this is, they consider as expenses. And according to me, my dear friend, please consider this as your investment. Because according to me, if you are environment and you are actually concerned about the safety of your machine, safety of material, safety of people, let me tell you, indirectly, you are enhancing your own productivity. Having said so, printer now have to see, according to me, that India is not the only one market which they have to look at. According to me, the globe is the entire market for them. It is their reach, it is their innovation, it is their adoption of the strategy which they intend to do. I think one has to consider that. And if that is so, somebody was telling me one day that, oh, Honor are paying the salary. And I beg to differ. I think it is not Honor, the customer pays you the salary. Similarly, let me tell you, friends, it is the employee. It is the employee and employer relations make the company to grow much more than what you are expected of. Hence, now the time has come where we have to look at on a different journey altogether to see that we are the leading supplier in the world or the preferred supplier in the world. I was just going through some of the data, you know, and which was very, very alarming and very important. One has to know about it. You know, China, the packaging industry is around 1.2 trillion RMB as on today. And if you see the global market, which is in the 26 market, which is right from North America, Latin America, Western Europe, Central Europe and Eastern Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia Pacific, the market of the print and the printing is around $421 billion. Out of it, 68% is only packaging, and 15% is commercial, and 17% is publishing. What I'm trying to say that if we printer don't look from a negative perspective, what will happen next to them? Look at on a positive journey and positive way to work. And I can only tell you, my dear friend, there may be a tough time for next 3 to 6 months. But please believe me and trust me, trust your own capability, trust your own strength, and I think we'll be winner in 21 onwards as a leading global supplier to the world market in the print and the printing and packaging industry, even including the publishing industry. Having said so, I think let the ball start rolling because there are a lot of people are there, but I can only tell you, friends, look from the positive angle. Don't look from a negative angle. Work on the positivity of your own strength, your employee's strength, and I think you make a difference for the country, Indian, and we will be proud ourselves to say we are Indian. And thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your lovely address. And you, as you rightly said, that things are going to be perfect in the near future, and we can really have a bright future ahead of us, especially for the printing industry. We are certainly hopeful as you are. So from here onwards, friends, we are going to begin our technical session. And in our technical session, we are going to first with the first panelist, that is Shri Ramesh Kejriwal ji. And Ramesh Kejriwal ji is chairman and of Parsons Packaging, is an industry veteran and a technocrat with 40 plus years of experience in the printing and packaging business. He is the vision setter and provides strategic direction to the company and is responsible for the overall functioning of the organization. Mr. Kejriwal is a commerce graduate and qualified printing technologist. In 1996, he started this packaging unit with a small area of around 1500 square feet in Daman, with a vision to be one of the best. He steered the company to attain leadership status in the packaging industry. Parsons presently has pan-India presence with 6 state-of-the-art manufacturing plants with an annual turnover of around 700 crores in 2017. Mr. Kejriwal was also the past president of Bombay Master Printers Association. Under Mr. Kejriwal's leadership, Parsons won Print Week Company of the Year awards in 2011 and 2016. He has the distinction of being the first Indian packaging company promoter to feature on the cover of Heidelberg magazine Drupa edition in 2008 and in Forbes magazine in the Hidden Gems list 2015. As an initiative to give back to the society, he founded an industrial training institute, ITI, in the state of Rajasthan. So welcome to you, sir. Now I'll request Shri Ramesh Kejriwal ji to address and throw light on how you find the packaging sector growth post COVID-19 and how important a role Indian printers will or can play in the global market. Thank you, sir. Over to you.
Good afternoon, Harjit Singh ji.
Thank you, sir.
And with the positive note and optimistic views expressed by Mr. Sharma ji, I am a little bit enlightened today. I was a little bit depressed before the COVID-19 because we thought that you will be talking more about negative things of COVID, but I think you have started on a very positive note and giving us a lot of optimism. So I thank you for that. I would like to thank All India Federation for giving me an opportunity to be part of this webinar today. I would like to thank all the fellow eminent panelists who are sharing this webinar today with me. And I would like to thank all the participants today who have spared their time to join us on this webinar. Enough has been said about COVID-19 and the implications of it. And each one of us is grappling with it in its own way. I think there are challenges, there are concerns, but at the same time, there are opportunities. So I think with all our ability and resources, we have to look at opportunity and try to overcome this challenge in the best possible way. Having said that, I would like to focus my talk today on packaging sector specializing in folding cartons. So I would like to limit my talk in 4 different topics. The first one would be packaging industry overview with a focus on folding cartons. Second topic, different segments within the folding carton area and how they're going to impact us post-COVID. Third, what is the overall size of the folding carton market in terms of value and how it's going to change post-COVID. And fourth, I think the kind of strategy that we should adopt to be in relevance in the industry. And also, like Sharma ji said, how can we export, focus, and become a global player? As you know, we have limited time, so I would touch upon each topic in a very small and general way to give an idea to all the people. Talking about the first topic on packaging industry overview. as per my recent study and some of the survey done, the overall packaging industry comprises of flexible, paperboard packaging, metal and glass. Flexible and paperboard packaging comprises of almost 83%, with flexible being 64% of the market and 19% paperboard packaging. Metal and glass is the rest, 17%. But the biggest growth that's going to happen or has been happening would be in the flexible and paperboard packaging. The reason being that there is a lot of play in the modern retail and e-commerce, which will make it more possible to spearhead in flexible and paperboard packaging. Within the flexible and paperboard packaging, I would say not because we are there in paperboard packaging, but I would say the growth percentage of paperboard packaging will be more compared to earlier years than what it has been. The reasons are not only because of the COVID, but because we have been hearing a lot of issues in terms of ban on single-use plastic, FSSAI regulations, consumer awareness of sustainability, and etc. Post-COVID, as you know, hygiene, health will become very important. And paperboard packaging is one packaging which focuses very strongly on hygiene and sustainability. So I believe that overall in the industry, packaging industry, flexible and paperboard packaging will grow, but I think the biggest percentage growth in terms of what has had been earlier would be the biggest in paperboard packaging. Coming to the second topic, different segments within the folding cartons. I think there have been many segments which have evolved over a period of time. But looking at current scenario, I would say that these are the main segments of the folding carton industry, namely pharmaceuticals, packaged foods and other food related and beverage related, home and personal care, apparel and consumer electronics. These constitute, according to me, almost 60% of the overall market of folding cartons. What is going to happen post-COVID? There will be a tremendous growth in pharmaceutical related products because health will become very important for each and everyone. People will be more conscious about their health. Secondly, within the packaged food and food services, the business will grow because there'll be less amount of people going out and they will call for more food within the house and they would like to cook food with the packaged food. Within the home and personal care, I think there are various products which are related to health and hygiene, like soaps, detergents, sanitized products. These will have a tremendous growth. I was told that the growth of sanitizing products has grown 60x compared to pre-COVID. So we will continue to see the growth into hygiene and health related products within the gambit of personal and home care. Certain products like apparel may have a slowdown currently, at least for 1 year, because people will have less money to spend. Even consumer electronics will have an impact because people will again try to save. Coming to the food sector, I think the quick service restaurants will have a downfall because people will not be going for the quick service. They will be calling for food at home or delivery services. So I think within these segments, I would say the highest growth will be for pharmaceuticals and packaged foods and hygiene and health related products. Coming to the third topic on the total size of the folding carton market. As per my study and the various paper manufacturing companies and the amount of paper being sold and the value that is added to the paperboard buying, according to me, the market size is roughly rupees 30,000 crore per annum. That's a huge market for paperboard packaging. And I'm talking mainly of folding cartons, not of corrugated boxes. And if you look at within this 30,000 crore, there are two sets of converters. Some are organized and some are less organized. I would not call them unorganized because everybody is organized in its own way. But I would say that 55% of these 30,000 crore comes from organized market and 45% comes from unorganized or less organized market. Now, what is going to happen post-COVID is a very clear indication that most of these less organized converters will feel a very big hit if they do not upgrade themselves. Because most of their market is from unbranded and low value products and from customers who did not care much about packaging. But going forward, even unbranded and local customers will demand hygiene and health and the way they are manufacturing, because labor will be a scarce commodity. So they will have to stop manual work. They will have to go on automation. So I think the biggest opportunity for less organized is to grow and mold themselves into the current scenario with automation and more organized way. So they have an opportunity to grow. Among the organized players, again, there is a huge opportunity because they can get a market share which is larger. But there is a challenge for them as well in terms of their large overheads and higher costs. So unless the large organized players or even organized players are not able to control their cost and overheads, they will have a big challenge. Otherwise, there is a huge opportunity for them to grow. But I would see that this single factor of COVID will change the scenario of converters for being more organized and less organized. And if I see the ratio today of 55 to 45 between organized and less organized, I would wonder that this will change very quickly and almost come to 70-30 within a span of 3-4 years, which is a huge change how the packaging of folding cartons will emerge. Coming to the last point of how we should look at the strategy for future. I think we have to mold ourselves in terms of giving something innovative to the market. We have to mold ourselves the way we are manufacturing in terms of keeping social norms intact. Even after the COVID-19 elapses, we have to keep certain manufacturing practices intact so that we are able to produce better, have a better quality control. At the same time, we take care of our people's safety very well. But at the same time, when we adopt these practices, the whole quality and upgradation of the product takes place, which again will help us in bringing our products to the global market. Because India is a cost-effective country. We have all the raw materials available, right from paperboard to inks and coatings, and all the equipments are available. So there is no lack of equipment or material. And what we are seeing with post-COVID or within this lockdown time, that there is a lot of strength on efficiency. So our productivity is increasing, which also will take care of the cost. So once we are cost effective and producing high quality, I think the export market is a big opening for us. Secondly, as you see that China, people would have de-risking from China. So a lot of manufacturing from China will move to India. Once that moves, there'll be a lot of production of cartons that will be required for those manufacturing units. So it will be like a deemed export. Some of them will be exporting in a big way. And also an opportunity to, enhance our physical exports as well. So I think these are the basic 4 points which I see that will change the way we are doing the business of packaging. If we see the current year, 2021, I think the first half of this year, we are going to see a huge negative growth because of the lockdown, etc. but we don't have to be despondent. I think second half we will bounce back quite a lot. But as I see the whole financial year FY 2021, I do not see any growth per se. Even if we are able to maintain last year's turnover or revenue, I think we should be happy. But 21-22, I believe we will come on course and we will bounce back on 8 to 10% growth in folding carton segment. So this is my overall view, and I feel that we have to be optimistic. We have to look forward. COVID-19 has brought us a challenge, but it is opening up a lot of opportunities as well. And I think with these opportunities, whoever is able to exploit them will move forward and will be acquiring leadership. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir, for
providing. Harjinder, you call for the next speaker.
Yes, sir.
And the question answer will take at the last, huh?
Yes, sir. It's in the last. So thank you, Ramesh, sir, for addressing us and providing an overview about the packaging industry and what will be the future of the packaging industry in India. And you have rightly shown us welcome signs for the packaging industry, and your message is, I think, simple and clear for the printing industry to prepare themselves, and there is much more going to happen to the packaging industry in the year 2021. So thank you so much, sir. Now I'll invite our next panelist, who is Shri Sameer Patnerji, and he is the president of Heidelberg, India. Mr. Sameer Patkar ji, president of Heidelberg, India, is a strong visionary backed by more than 2 decades of experience in the graphic arts industry. An integral member of the Heidelberg and Gallas family since 2001. Currently, he spearheads Heidelberg's Indian operations. He is also a key member of the senior leadership team of Heidelberg Asia Pacific. In his present designation, he leads digitization efforts, including Smart Print Shop and Print Industry 4.0, to advance Heidelberg, India to its next phase of evolution and growth. In his prior roles, Patkar has pioneered strategies to drive growth and success across Gallas operations in the Asia Pacific region. Under his leadership, Gallas set new benchmarks in excellence and progress. A chemical engineering graduate with masters in business administration, Mr. Sameer Patkar is an avid traveler. While reading, cooking, and playing volleyball are his favorite activities. Now I'll request Shri Sameer Patkar ji, President Heidelberg, India, who shall throw light on the machine manufacture sector is facing an overcome to survival, a way to look at, in view of slowdown of the economy. How would you visualize the market to open up in India in view of printing business, which may expect sudden growth for packaging sector printer in India? So over to you, sir.
Right. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Arjinder. Thanks a lot for the lovely introduction. First of all, I would like to thank All India Federation of Master Printers for organizing this wonderful platform. In these times, connecting the industry and still staying relevant, it is not so easy. And it's wonderful what technology is doing nowadays, getting us all connected. I would also like to thank the wonderful panelists that we have today. It'll be interesting to listen to their insights as well. How do they look up to the current situation and the future coming forward? And of course, at the end, the participants for taking the time off and joining in this webinar. Well, a lot have been discussed about COVID, and I don't want to discuss in terms of what are the challenges COVID is bringing up, because this is exactly over the last 2 months, everybody is at home and going through the same discussions over and over and again. But if I might just try to bring a relevance of how the crisis is affecting, and it's not one thing is fitting all. You can imagine that, if you're used to travel on a certain road every day of your life, and let's assume you were traveling on this road at 100 kilometers per hour, and this was a very usual and a routine thing for you, and suddenly one day you bump across a speed breaker, which was not there the day before yesterday, but it just came up. Now, what happens when you are driving at 100 kilometers per hour and you suddenly hit a speed breaker, something that you never anticipated would be there? Now, if you look at the relevance here, everyone will have a different impact. It all depends on the speed at which you are traveling, the cars which you are driving, the ability of the driver to manage at this particular instance. But it doesn't matter whatever is the situation. The first thing at this point in time is you don't look at the future. You look at just saving yourself. You try to manage the existing situation. And this is extremely important, that before you look into the future, it is extremely important to look into your present. And unfortunately, this is a global pandemic. Nobody has the experience from a history. So there's no data you have from the past how to manage the situation. Everything is disrupted. The entire supply chain is disrupted. The way the print buyers are able to manage their businesses are getting disrupted. Our vendors are disrupted. The banks are disrupted. And everybody is trying to find a new equilibrium. And this is extremely important. With 58 days into the lockdown, with so many things happening around us, with absolutely new thing to manage, I think the present is something which is first critically important for all of us. And it brings a different starting point for different people. Now, what could be of high relevance? We all know in the current times, if present is so relevant, it is a cash flow that is extremely important. And today, cash is king. How can you manage your cash flow? How has been the businesses managed so far? If profitability was important, how important was it? And these are some of the learnings of the past, which is extremely important for an insight to go into the future. And it is the same story for us at Heidelberg. Even before COVID, we had started our reorganization worldwide. I think it's a continuous process. And if you look at from a current perspective, it is extremely important to optimize all the areas which is adding up to cost. And this is extremely important going forward. How can you, because this is now the different starting point for different organizations. There are printers in commercial segment, there are printers in packaging segment, and within these two segments, there are printers at different scales of operation. There is somebody who is operating pan-India. There is somebody who is operating, from its own city or one location. There's somebody who's operating with one press, and there's somebody who's operating with 40 presses. It has a different impact for different people. So first thing, extremely important, how can you regain your financial strength? Number one. Number two, while there are crises, while there are disruptions going on, the humans over the years have found a brilliant way to regain the imbalance, and they have exercised an excellent ability to come back in action and stay relevant. And this is exactly important what businesses today need to do. If just before the webinar, we were discussing about the Spanish flu of the 1918, which took 50 million lives with 500 million infections. And at that time, the world was even almost coming out of the World War I story. So it was, if you look at that era where there was absolutely no information on science and technology, and even virus was not even a definition at that time. Thankfully, in 2020, from germs, we are now knowing it's a virus effect. And the science and technology has moved leaps and bounds. And this is extremely important for us today. Coming to the Indian printers, it is very important to A, stay relevant, B, how do you grab the current opportunities that are coming from the current crisis? And there are many opportunities coming. Mr. Kejriwal a while ago spoke about few of the opportunities coming in monocartons. There's a lot coming in flexible packaging as well. And of course, the key going forward is to look at your current situation of business. We all know labor is going to be one of the most important challenge going forward. And this is not going to be resolved overnight. I believe almost everybody across industry segments are facing this problem, not just in the printing industry, with huge migrations from city A to city B and states. This is going to be quite an important challenge over the next 12 months. And when we look at labor, we qualify unskilled labor and skilled labor. And while if you look at how the technology is getting developed today, so if there are opportunities coming for the printers, there are challenges at the same time. So if as the lockdown is opening up, we have started and we have seen that now the scale has gone up to excess of 50% of the capacities are back again as compared to the pre-COVID crisis. At least the packaging industry sees the return of this growth. But at the same time, industries are made to operate at 30% of the staff. So while the growth is back, and when you don't have the relevant staff in place, because of course, social distancing is going to be the key challenge for the next 12 months, there's a lot you have to now rely on the operational efficiency of the workflow. And I would like to underline the workflow, not the equipment. Because in the press or in the printing industry, it's pre-press, press and post-press. And efficiencies at all levels are extremely important. You can't be a great, you have great efficiencies in the pre-press side, while on the presses, there is a lot of downtime and a lot of struggle to get the jobs getting printed and move out. Same thing if you move from the press to the post-press, if you have a struggle there, it is going to be even more challenging than the pre-COVID crisis, because that completely affects your output. And this is extremely important today. When the orders are coming back, and if the printers are not able to gear up to take the incremental increase of the orders month after month, there is going to be a challenge. And this is something I think printers need to look at, start defining their own workflows, standardize these workflows. Of course, it will be difficult to say that you start investing into new presses overnight. This is not as easy. However, one has to start thinking 12 months from today, as the industry is coming back, as the businesses are coming back, how do I get ready to take over those challenges and completely leverage the business potential that is coming out. And Mr. Kejriwal also said there are many industries which are doing far better. Pharma, for instance, is the new guiding light let us put up in the industry, because typically this pandemic is going to change and has shaken the very foundation of A, the way we are organized individually in our personal lives, B, the way we buy things and start looking at safety and security of products, and C, the supply chain. This is going to be so critical moving forward. And in each of these areas, there are tremendous opportunities that lie. As an example, on safety and security, it would be great if the consumer today gets a package which even shows how many touch points it went through, how many people touched that product. Because today, in these pandemic, people want a product to be delivered to them without any touch points. And this is exactly how the future businesses would come. Ready-made foods. Is it packed? How is it packed? How safe it is packed? And how does it have least human intervention? And it is not just about the big boys in the business, it is also for the small industries, I would say small entrepreneurs, startups. They are all working in this direction. We all know that even supply chain, including Swiggy, Zomato, they are also working on their own packaging needs, how to deliver a safe product from a restaurant or from a food chain to the consumer. B, it's not just about the workflow or the investment into productive machines one has to look at. Because when I say productive machines, obviously going forward, since labor is going to be one of the key issue, one will start looking at equipment which are highly productive, and B, which brings down automatically the cost of the product, because it helps you to eliminate a lot of waste of the processes and of course the waste of a product itself. So this definitely impacts the cost of your product and increases the productivity, and terms like OEE or overall equipment effectiveness, which I can share from what we look from a global perspective. On an average, many of the printers also in India work on an average of an OEE of 25%. So still there is a lot to be explored from the equipment. Still this equipment can be far more productive than what they are today. And if you look from a packaging or even a commercial printing perspective, we have seen that there are cases also in India where printers with even lesser automation are doing OE up to 50%. So there's a lot one has to start looking into their workflows. They have to standardize, they have to look at multiple manual touch points. And of course, then start evaluating the future technologies which will help eliminate these areas of waste and help in bringing more production. The behavior pattern, that is the last one I would like to bring up. The next 6 months are going to be the most crucial, is the way I would look at, because these are the times when there is a little bit of disruption and people are also on the verge. In many cases, we have also seen that employment is a challenge. And of course, expenses are the things which everybody tries to curtail in terms of expenses towards retail. We have seen a huge change the way the print buyers are moving towards introducing their products, because this is an opportunity for them. So in the current times, the pack sizes are changing dramatically. What used to be packed in smaller products are getting packed into larger products, because I wouldn't like to go out in the market every single week and buy products. I would rather like to buy for a month or 2 months. So large packs are coming in a very big way. Segmentation of products are heavily being discussed currently, in the sense, is it the right time to bring a product which is economical, or is it very expensive? And as an example, if you look at some, detergents, there are a lot which one can buy at. There are some products which you can buy at, let's say, 200 rupees a kilo, and then there are other products you can buy at 100 rupees a kilo. So, for instance, which one would at this point in time people like to go in for? And if the 200 kg product is in a nice different packing, because that's a value you would like to add and give it to the customer, so maybe the brand owners are looking at an alternate packing. This is one of the risks, is what I would see, but not too much. But at the same time, a lot of other products which were into flexible packaging are also moving into cartons. And then there are other products which are from labels are moving into shrink sleeves. The brand owners are looking at each and every scale of managing the next 12 months. Standardization of packages, standardization of vendors. For instance, we know from our experience, even from the label business, there were customized products, customized bottles, molds were privy for the brand owners. Now and this is affecting supply chain. So now the brand owners are even looking at standard suppliers of such bottles, which can supply in mass scale, which is a temporary thing. And so new businesses will come up, and opportunities for new pack sizes would come up. So I think it is an era where I would say there is disruption, but at the same time, there are tremendous opportunities coming. It is going to be extremely important for printers to be agile, early adopters, like how the digital process works. And I would say it is time for India and Indian converters to seriously start looking at a transformation process of their workflows or their factories. This is, when I say digital transformation, it is not invest in a digital press. Invest in a system which can help you define, record all the touch points from the entry to the exit, a platform that even integrates with your brand owners or a print buyers platform for order management, to the logistics back again to the retailers. How can one integrate all these various touch points, bring it holistic in one system, something that can be easily measurable, and it tells you back where are the gaps and helps you to define and make a quick call that if there is a waste in this process, or if there are time lags in process B, how quickly can you adapt and move to this change and bring it profitable? So much more demanding in today's times. Maybe yesterday I could spend 20 rupees in a waste and I could still say fine, but today maybe not. Cash is king, and it is extremely important to save each and every rupee for the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Samar sir, for giving a overview about the situation of the printing industry and how they should adapt in the near future. And as you have rightly mentioned, that in India, where there are few number of printers who have adapted themselves with the latest technologies, and wastage is a big barrier for the Indian printers. It needs to be addressed. Very rightly said, sir. And this is a situation, being addressed throughout the world. We have to stop the wastage, and wastage also implies to the increase of your cost of your product. So we have to look into that matter very, very seriously. And you've also mentioned that the migration of the workforce, yes, definitely that is going to play a big role in the near future. How we are going to address that is a big challenge. And standardizing of vendors' workflows, definitely they are on the cards of the printers. So lots of work to do for the printers in the near future. I think it's a good thing at your end, since you are into the business of providing such kind of facilities to the printers. So we are definitely going to see that Heidelberg is going to have good amount of opportunities in India as well. So with that, we go to our next panelist, and I'll now invite Shri C.G. Ramakrishnan ji. Mr. C.G. Ramakrishnan ji is popularly known as RK, is the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of Technova Imaging Systems Private Limited. He has been associated with Technova for over 35 years. Mr. Ramakrishnan is a management postgraduate specializing in finance and has extensive experience in finance, sales, corporate strategy and affairs, and overall business management. He has handled several key projects for the company, a keen student and follower of Indian economics, politics, and general affairs. RK completed his BSc from Mumbai University and his MBA from NMIMS Mumbai. The topic for Shri C.G. Ramakrishnan ji on which he is going to address is, in today's scenario of uncertainty and central government move to focus on Atmanirbhar policy, how you see the situation of the Indian manufacturer. Is this an opportunity or threat, or what is your message to the printing industry of India? Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Harjinder Singh ji.
Welcome, sir.
And again, I should express my thanks to the AIFMP for inviting me to this web council and for this specific webinar here. And once again, very much thank you to all my co-panelists who are actually industry stalwarts, Ramesh ji, Bhuvnesh ji, Samir. All of them are much more into the industry than me, and they have great insights into the specifics of the printing. I come from a background of finance and been working in Technova for many years. So I come with the perspective of a print supplier, and perhaps also as a student of economics and finance, and how I view the current COVID and lockdown related financial status of the print industry. So maybe what I will do, Harjinder ji, is take few minutes in terms of the current status of the financial health of the industry, and then move on to what I think Kalita ji also wanted to know as to what my observations are there on the Atmanirbharta and the stimulus package that was announced by the government. And then obviously, is there anything from that for the print industry? I think with my limited knowledge, I would try to attempt to list out some opportunities there. So once again, thank you. And I think we had a great start. Sharma ji, always the optimist. Ramesh ji is again optimism in the packaging industry. And Samir, again, with his experience, I think has brought out new insights into this. What I would like to add is, as I go ahead, first section of what I want to mention is that the impact of the COVID and the lockdown, I think, is a tremendous one. I think all of us in our lifetimes have not experienced the combined impact of a medical plus a financial plus an economic meltdown. And I think while we are all grappling with it the last 60 days, we hope that the medical solution comes quickly, because I think the overall recovery is also dependent upon the medical solution. And then we obviously have to what I call adapt our lives and lifestyles to saying that the COVID will still be there, and how we actually post-lockdown, we pick up our threads of the lives and move ahead. If I have to make a very overall statement, and I think it's a general statement for everybody, whether it's for a small printer or for a medium-sized company, whether it's an MSME or whether it's a big corporate, I think the major constituents of this COVID lockdown impact has led to an demand drop. I think the question is whether the demand drop is a demand destruction or is a drop, because one time will tell whether the demand will come back normalcy, whether that it will come back to normalcy after 2 months, 3 months, whether we'll be back to 90% of what we were in February 20, by October or November 20. So I think the major constraint of what everybody is looking at from a point of view of demand. The second thing, what I think we've all experienced is a big supply chain disruption, which is coming up from whether our suppliers and vendors to our production lines and our logistics, infrastructure. And therefore, the big impact in the last 2-3 months has been supply-led as well, which is led to what Samir mentioned. I think the now and the present of the big challenge is managing our cash flows. So I would like to say that again, coming in from an economic perspective, one needs to analyze the issue of our own company, of our customers and our vendors from a perspective of whether it's a liquidity issue or is it a solvency issue. Because I think for a longer period of time, if there's a liquidity problem, then I think it can turn into a solvency issue. So from that sense, I would just say that if we bucket ourselves into a tripod of time frames, the short term, a medium term, and a medium to long term. And therefore, I would say for everybody, and I think as Samir mentioned, as Rameshji mentioned, we are looking at for survival in the short term. I think what we do in the short term may be defined as 90 days. We're already into 30 days post-April. So what do we do in a 90-day short term in terms of survival? And then the medium term in terms of revival. And what do we do in the revival? Just come in a minute. And a medium to long term, what we call as a self-renewal or self-reliant company. I think the word of Atmanirbharta in terms of this talks of self-reliance and self-dependence. So I would like to bucket it as a short-term survival, a medium-term revival, and a long-term what I call as self-reliant sort of thing for the company, for the industry, and for the whole country. So when I mentioned this aspect of the revival, I am just looking at it again from a financial perspective of an entity. And if I could just put my words in these words, that our top 3 things that we want to look at in the short term or in the medium term as well is to restore the P&L. I think every company's P&L, revenue, costs, and thereby the bottom line, I think has been impacted and will be impacted right through the year 2021. So the first thing that I would like to say from a perspective is restore the P&L. And what does the restoration of P&L means? Obviously, it means can you revive your revenue and the demand that is there in the respective industry as quickly as possible. To say, for example, in the month of May, are we at 30 to 40% of the normal revenue? Can we get the revenue back to 90, 100% maybe by December? I think one of the big focus areas of the top management as well as the front line is to ensure that we get the revival of the demand as quickly as possible. So revival of the demand is one. While we get the revival of the demand and the market, I think equal amount of measure is what we are putting on what we call as calibrating the cost. I think calibrating the cost to the current normal and the new normal is again something that I think top management and senior management would be focused on in these times. Third, and I think very, very important when we talk of costs, I think one needs to be very clear as what are the variable costs of the business and what are the fixed costs of the business. Because I think that is where it leads to what, according to me, in today's time is a very significant measure of our operations is, have we reached the break-even level? I think we need to understand what is the break-even level of our business, and understanding the fixed and variable cost will lead us to know what the break-even is. And then having known the break-even, I think the topmost priority is with all the things on revenue, costs, and the break-even is to stop the bleeding as quickly as possible. So while the revival is going to happen in the midterm, in the survival term, can we minimize the bleeding or stop the bleeding as quickly as possible, and thereby align everything in the company, whether it is production, whether it is planning, whether it is procurement, whether there is any other mode of expenses, to what the revenue stream will be in the next 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months. So I think this is what I would define as restoring the P&L as one single activity in the tripod of activity. Number 2 is, I believe that this crisis is not just a hit on the P&L. I think equally important is the crisis hit on the balance sheet of our companies. And I think that is very, very difficult to do actually in a crisis. Perhaps to protect the balance sheet is perhaps a little more difficult than even restoring the P&L. So the point number 2, what I would like to mention is strengthen the balance sheet. And what do we do in the strengthen the balance sheet? I think we will have to obviously immediately look for whatever we can get as a temporary lines of credit for short-term working capital. I think that's something that is to be topmost done in terms of getting it with our bankers. And with the current economic packages that are there, I guess it should be easier than before. Second one is obviously restructure your long-term liabilities. There could be some long-term liabilities as per the current ones that you may have to restructure it and change it. Number 3, and I think most important, I think linked to the long-term liabilities is you will find that if the break-even is coming back, but your capacity utilization is not coming back of certain assets, then I guess you will have to identify which fixed assets, which plants, which related fixed assets are not able to restore back to full utilization, and you may have to perhaps do some sort of reorganizing, do some sort of what I call as mergers. And I mean, you will have to consolidate yourself in terms of some maybe making some assets of yours little free, and which can be then put on the block to actually release capital. Number 4, I think most important is, I think you will have to take a great look at your current working capital. I think you have working capital blocked in raw materials, finished goods, debtors, and cash, and of course the payables. Now you have to ensure that during the lockdown, during the time when you're actually coming down, how do you actually convert each one to the other? How do you convert the RM to FG? How do you convert the FG to AR? How do you convert the AR to cash? I think that's the focus related to by saying that we protect the balance sheet. Because in these times, what happens is that the asset level value deteriorates, whereas the liability of your balance sheet remains as is. So this is what the second aspect of what I call as protect the balance sheet, which leads to the third factor, which finally everything translates into one, which is what I call as money and cash flow. So I think the third important factor in this thing, after restoring your P&L and protecting the balance sheet, is the ability to align in such a way your outflows and inflows to balance your cash flow. Because if you're able to balance the cash flow in these difficult times, you are definite that you will survive, you will be able to go onto the path of revival. So I think that is what I just wanted to mention in terms of the quick thing. Again, it is very fundamental, but I guess these are the times when the fundamentals have to be made further stronger. So I think that's as far as an individual company is concerned, this tripod, what I just mentioned. Now, if I have to just say in terms of how the overall country and the industry would be affected, I think let me just give you very macro level numbers. India's GDP during 2021 or 1920 was $2.85 trillion. 2.85 trillion. We were expected to grow at a rate of between 5 to 6%. When we say we are expected to grow by 5 to 6%, this year 2021 was supposed to add something like 160 to 180 billion dollars of GDP by the country. What has happened is 2 months of the lockdown means roughly almost 1/6 of the $2.85 trillion is at great risk. I would say 60% of the $2.85 trillion, 1/6, which actually means that something like almost 350 to 400 billion dollars of GDP in the country this year, total. It is not about printing, it is total of everything, goods and services put together. 400 to 350 billion of the GDP is at risk. So if you are supposed to have added 180 billion and 350 billion goes, I think what is more certain, very clearly certain, that the GDP of the country for this year will go for a -5 to -6% growth. This is not being alarmist. I think this is being realist, because while the impact of the first quarter and the second quarter is going to be huge, and the third and the fourth quarter will be revival, the net effect of the first 2 quarters will still be a minus to the economy. So there are different people who are making a prediction as what is going to happen at an economy level. I think what we may need to expect that at a full year level, our GDP will be -4 to -5%. I think while that is at an overall country level, different sectors will have a much greater impact. And I believe that our industry, print industry, while we will experience the turbulence in Q1 and Q2, but as Ramesh said, I think Q3 and Q4 will see a revival related to the sectors in pharma, which is already, today pharma is already insulated from this crisis, specific food packaging, and there are other items which also Samir said in terms of the packagings that will undergo a change. I believe that the packaging industry, as Ramesh you mentioned, will go in for a big, I would say, bounce back from Q3 and Q4, and 21-22 will see a great thing. So having said that, overall country GDP will be negative, but I see print and packaging print, I think, bounce back soon. So perhaps, as was said, that we do not expect any growth, but if we are able to be even -5 to -10% growth of previous year, I think that is still a good job done in the current times. Coming now to specifically the issue of, I think Kalitaji mentioned as to what do you see from this whole policy of Atmanirbharta. And I think, let me just mention, I don't want to take any political view of this. There are enough number of pros and cons of it from a political aspect. But if I take a look at purely an economic impact in terms of the various constituents, I think what is that this package of 21 lakh crores is done. Again, from a number perspective, let me put this way, $2.85 trillion translates to 210 lakh crores in rupee terms of GDP. A 10% impact of that is what the government had said, means a 20 lakh crore plus. This is what the numbers talk of 20 lakh crore. Now, if we let us look at it from a point of view as to whether this package is a positive or a neutral or not so positive from various factors. I think everybody looked at it from a point of view saying that, does it help, immediately help giving some respite on my income and expenditure? So one look from people was, does the package pass muster, and is it considered to be good coming in from a point of income support? I think the answer to that is, while the government has done a lot of things, if you address it from a point of view of income support, this package is not enough, because a lot of people are disappointed the fact that there has been no direct income support from the package, but the government had limitations to that. So therefore, I think they know best as to why they could not do so more. The second impact, has this package, or will this package spur demand immediately? Again, the jury is out here. I think a little mixed jury. The general sense is that it may not yet spur demand because it has not put money in the hands of the consumer. So therefore, from a perspective of a demand-led thing, it may still take time, but there are certain sectors which doesn't need the impact of the package. It is self-generating, and therefore packaging industry, as was Ramesh mentioned, would essentially, without having a specific impact of a demand from the sectors of pharma, from the sectors of food processing, from the other sectors of specialty chemicals, and whatever else sectors are actually going to be buoyant in that, will generate the demand itself. So from these two factors, I don't think the government has scored high marks. But I think when we come to the lifeline, I think the most important aspect is, has this package supported the balance sheet? Has this given cash flow and liquidity into the system? I think there the government and the RBI has done a tremendous amount of things. In fact, if you look at it, almost 75% of the package is monetary led, RBI led. It is done with moratorium of loans, shifting of the loans by 6 months, loan repayments. It has to do also with providing 3 lakh crore to the lifeline of Indian industry, which is the MSME. It has redefined the context of MSME. It has given a 3 lakh loan without collateral. It has given credit guarantees. And therefore, I believe, and it has also given loans to specific sectors of NBFCs and housing finance companies. So to ensure that there are no big delinquencies, no big defaults, I think the government has put in a great amount of liquidity. So therefore, from that sense, the MSMEs of the printing industry, MSMEs generally, should be able to get working capital loans from the respective banks much sooner. I think that's a great positive of this package. Also, the aspect of credit guarantees are very big positive, because I think without collateral, the government has guaranteed the 3 lakh crore loans to the MSMEs, I think that's a great fillip. And I would say the printing industry is mainly made of, I would say from a number perspective, almost 90% of the industry would fall under the MSME sector. So I would believe that this is a great thing for the print sector to get back and revive, survive in the short term. I think this is a great the booster. Number 4, and I think it's again a very big silver lining, which is not just for the immediate future, immediate present, it's actually for the great future. I think there are a lot of reforms that has been announced, and I think that reforms package will take little more time to get more specific. I remember I recollect yesterday or day before yesterday, the Commerce Minister has identified 12 industry sectors which can be a great sector for India. There are many sectors which are there, including specialty chemicals, organic farming, leather and footwear, industry, small machinery components, auto components, textiles, many of them. And I'm sure that I think through the collective efforts of the Federation and all of us, I think print industry also can qualify for an industry which can convert into something which I think is identified as a core sector for growth. So going into this, what I just believe is that the reforms that has been announced and which will be more articulated and detailed in the future, I think give us hope that once we survive the current present, I think the future in terms of the overall industry, which is print buyer industry, so obviously print industry. So if it's a print buyers get benefited, if they get by the reforms, definitely print industry also gets benefited by this. And I think we also at print industry will have to do a sort of reforms that is there. And looking at these reforms, may I just mention that we need to have a vision from not just a printing industry. I think we need to have what I call an extended vision, which includes the print suppliers, the actual print, and the print buyers. And if we can connect it with the pre-press, press, and post-press as something like a 3x3 quadrant as to what each constituent has to do in this to actually become competitive. So if one has to say that these reforms, I would say has given a strong fillip, we will have to wait and more for the detailing of these reforms to say how each reforms can be taken forward. I remember in 1991, when I think we were far affected because I think we had a great current account deficit. The foreign exchange was at its lowest. I think the reforms were done in 91. So the reforms done in 2020 is still at a much better level of, I would say, preparedness. The foreign exchange risk of the country is 475 billion. The oil is at $30-35. So the current account deficit going into the future is going to be much lesser. So I think the reforms done at this point of time would definitely be, I would say, if it is followed up with actual work on the ground with bureaucracy as bureaucratic action as well as industry action, I think we can see a great future going forward. Number 5, the impact, whether it has given a positive impact to the bottom of the pyramid of the society. There again, I think the jury is mixed. The government has done its best to take care of the bottom of the pyramid. And I think that is a social imperative. While that may not be enough, I'm sure that the government in its future measures, which they are going to take, it is not a measure that is over. It's going to be a measure that is going to come in the future. I think they will provide that much amount of support to the bottom of the pyramid. So overall, I would say I think the reform stimulus package is a 60-40 thing. I would still say 60% to 65% positive. The other 30, 35, 40% is something that were bogged down by the constraints. At the end of the period, I think if we had unlimited money, we could have done all of it. US could do a 2 trillion package because they are having more resources. I think given the constraint of the resources, the aspect on liquidity which has been done, the aspect on reforms what has been done, aspect of bottom of the pyramid that has been done, I think is very good. Aspect of income support, an aspect of demand construction, I think is something that perhaps we are expecting the government to do more in the coming months. So how would I look at it from a point of view of overall for the print industry? I think the reforms that has been suggested in some of the earlier industries gives me hope. For example, in agriculture, the dismantling of the Essential Commodities Act or the AIFMP Act, I think are far-reaching measures. One nation, one market. So I would think that if there are reforms which will come in future, I'm sure that the printing industry also will get the benefit of those things. Yes, I think there are huge challenges in terms of implementing it, because you have to get the source of funds, financing. You also need reforms in other aspects. I think it's not just economic reforms, it's a question of land, labor. And I think the government is moving on land, the government is moving on labor. And therefore, all these things, if you look at it, if while we survive, while we put everything to do survival and revival, if we get these reforms in the next 6 to 8 months, then I think the next 4, 5, 6 years for the future would be very good. I think that's what I would like to say as far as the reforms part is concerned. Maybe I'll take up specific questions later. Now the question is there anything specifically for the print? As I said, that print, I would like to take the print in terms of not just print itself, the print buyers and the print suppliers. Both and along with the print will need to ensure that we have what we call as a end-to-end vision in terms of making print industry more competitive and profitable. What are those pillars? I think the panelists already are much more experts at that. I guess what is the technology that will be needed to be done to make that competitive? What is the capital that will need to be put in? What is the manufacturing and the scalability that has to be done? I think Bhuvneshji has got an excellent plant there. Rameshji's all plants across are all world scale. So I think we have role models here, which will make the print industry of the future in terms of size up to whatever is required from the respective, from the world. I just have to end by saying that if this gives me or gives us as a manufacturer a great amount of opportunity. I think if we are able to survive the short term and the medium term, which I believe and am confident that we can, then I think this Atmanirbharta and the self-reliance of it, I think opens up a great amount of opportunities for manufacturers, print suppliers, print buyers, as well as printers. I have just listed some of these from our perspective. There may be many. I would think that there are a lot of machine retrofits. I think what this would go in from a point of view post-COVID is what I believe is the process automation, cost optimization. These are all the objectives. So this spins off a lot of products which could be indigenized. I think I'm not talking of techno, I'm talking of the Indian print industry. And I think this may spawn off really the next wave of print-based entrepreneurs. So whether it's talk of spray dampening system, chillers, UV systems, rollers, analogs cleaners, doctor blades, more blankets, specialty chemicals for the print packaging industry, coated spray powder, UV inks, security inks. I can go on. CTP systems, digital printers. I think automatic machines used in corrugation. These are some of the things which I find that I think if we are able to structure our organization right with these reforms, I think Indian print and Indian print suppliers and print buyers will be able to get many of these things manufactured indigenously. And I think that would be the great way for us to go ahead in the GDP that the print industry can add to the overall nation. So I believe that while the next 6 months will be turbulent and we will have to overcome that, and I believe we will be able to overcome. I think the next year onwards, 21, 22, I think is something that along with these reforms, I think we can make a giant leap towards being self-reliant. So this is what I just had to share. Thank you, and I'll be glad to take many questions later.
Thank you so much, sir, for providing an overview of the current status of our economy. And as you have rightly said, that the future is definitely bright, and the past speakers have also said in a similar fashion that we have to think positively about the Indian industry, and if we work hard and work on the right direction, sky's the limit for at least for our industry. And as you've mentioned a very important point, that the package which the Indian government has provided for the Indian industry, 3 lakh crore without collateral support, you are around 65%, sure that it will give a positive impact to the industry, MSME industry, because I think, as you also rightly said, that most of the printers, they fall in this particular category of MSME. So thank you so much, sir. We'll take up, we'll call you back during the question answer session. And so we are now moving forward to our last and but not the least, our next speaker, next panelist. Now I'll invite Shri Bhuvnesh Shethji, who is one of the uh, great book printers of India. So he's a graduate from Hindu College, Delhi, and he did his graduation in BSc Honors in Chemistry. He joined his family business, Rajkamal Electric Press, in 1976 in Old Sabzi Mandi with 2 cylinders and 2 treadles. He modernized by purchasing one second-hand OM2 automatic cylinder letterpress and soon purchased another. He had good opening with Tata McGraw Hill Publishing, his first client among other joint ventures, international publishers, and retained top musician as top printer. In 1999, started his replica press EOU in Narela. He had always in mind to produce error-free books with modern infrastructure. He started exhibiting in LBF and FPF, contributed to develop good contracts. Mr. Sanandan and Mr. Vikran, his 2 sons, joined his business in 2004 and 2006 simultaneously, and they provided new energy and great support to expand his business. He has been awarded for Books Printings Awards for Excellence in Printing past many years. Now, I will now request Shri Bhuvnesh Shethji to share his views on our question that how do you see the export market open up for Indian printers, and to grab those opportunities, what in your consideration, opinion, should printing industry of India be doing? So over to you, sir.
Good evening to AIFMP for giving me the opportunity, panelists and print friends, Ramesh Kejriwal, and others. You see that book printing is 70% of the business of export is with China. And this business, if we let us understand where the business is, US, but the major is in UK, Europe, yes, South Africa, yes, and Latin America is also developing now. But if you analyze overall, in US, none of the publisher has ever visited India. They prefer to print in China. UK, yes, there is a good scope. So is the Europe, but in South Africa, if you want to do business, so ultimately you act as a financer. You have to print the books and get the payments when the next session is due. So almost you can say a credit period of around 1 year. And if you say the overall business, book printing, there is no LC. We export, but there is no LC. That is again a disadvantage, very disadvantage for bank finance and other things. And yes, in the recent COVID, a lot of export orders have been cancelled. And at the present, the survival is on the orders in hand. And in the past, you can say since March, April, May, all the publishers are working from home. And there is not even 10% with the reduction of print runs of say around more than 50% quantity of books to be printed. And if you analyze that, what is the scope now? Yes, a lot of countries have decided. Japan, of course, we are not having good business. Yes, they have declared and it could be for another industries. Yes, others have inclined to shift business from China. And in the past, in the business deal with US, Trump, as you know, that has imposed duty in case you print from China. And I was on last year, I was in September, I was in UK and spoke to group production directors of their view. They were initially, yes, they were interested to shift, but to overall, finally they told that 12% increase which they have, US has imposed, still we are benefited to be print from China. I asked them the reason. They said, majority of them said, quality is okay with India, yes, but other infrastructure and shipping and other issues are too much. And they have absorbed. Still, we are better placed with China. And now, if we analyze any business, primarily in book printing, there is raw material, infrastructure, labor, and shipping are the major constituents. So I will discuss one by one of our why we are lacking this opportunity, which is a very good. One, because we being the English-speaking country, still raw material. If we talk raw material in export, everybody wants FSC. And FSC in coated paper is very difficult to. And even Banarpur paper is, they say, is rejected. They are not approving it at the moment. Earlier they used to, but now they are not approving. So entirely we have to import. And of course, imported is not there. That is a separate thing. But again, you have to plan, and the stock has to, you have to. Stocking is too much, investment on stock is high. And if you talk about uncoated paper, yes, it is available by SFSC, but not of that quality which is required for export. And again, the availability is a question mark in good quantity. And of course, in trade books, there is no availability. We have to depend upon for trade books, import. If we talk about infrastructure, yes, there is in the recent past, there are a lot of printers with good infrastructure, modern, you can say, new investments. They have come up, but still, from the point of UK and US, they are still larger. They say that the biggest point is that we get good output and in a very shortest time. And yes, there are factories where the labor also live there, where in this concept in India we are lacking. Labor productivity. I have seen Chinese labor are very good in production. Their production is, they produce, I believe, 25% more than Indian labor. And moreover, they are very good in manual work. Manually work of school books, cardboards and all, they do it all manually. And sometimes we are amazed, we cannot match it. And the biggest thing with another is the shipping. That is the major cause of our, you can say, exports are, we cannot compete with them. In China, every week there is a ship to UK. And recently China has a dedicated train corridor from China to UK. Whereas from our, you can say, dry ports, in case we have to move our shipment, many times you will come across poor connectivity of rails. We couldn't be connected. Then ICDs, 3 to 4 times in a year, they are overloaded, or in rainy season, some other season has gone up. So that is the issues. And for that matter, we have no other alternative but to dispatch the goods required by air sometimes for to meet the deadlines, not only for the from school point of view, but yes, from conference point of view or some other point of view. And our shipping, Sagarmala, the project which Government of India is planning for independent corridor for running the trains from dry port to port is still not completed. So that is the biggest challenge, is the shipping we are facing in that. And the challenge which is now, yes, it is a big challenge. We can encash it, provided we get support from our government regarding shipping. That is a major thing. And paper, that is the second raw material, that is a big question mark, because all we have to import for book printing for exports. And now you come across that there are different things, digital, e-books. Yes, e-books at the moment will get the, earlier they were slowed down, they will get a boost. Exporters, overseas publishers, they have started reducing the warehousing cost. They want to print books 2 times a year rather than overstocking. So that concept is there. And now with post-COVID, I think it will have a major impact on that printers will go down. Digital will again get the boost. And that is one thing, but I still feel this is a short term. We have got good opportunity and to convert printing as a hub, because all the English books published, they have got major consumption in India. So that is what is my feeling about this thing, that it has got a good opportunity provided our basic things are handled. Thank you for that. Hello.
Thank you so much, sir. You have pointed out very rightly that India needs to work a lot on skill development program, and you have also mentioned that as far as the skill is concerned, Chinese laborers are far ahead than Indian workforce. So this poses a great challenge on the printing industry at least, and there is a big barrier for the export, that logistics needs to be addressed at a very, very fast pace to improve the exports from India. So these are the areas we need to work on. So thank you so much, sir. You have been great in addressing and pointing out your views to us. Now we have come up to the end of the technical sessions, and we have quite a few questions coming up in the question answer tab. So I'll pass my first question, and I'll request anyone can answer. So, okay. So the first question is that how will the offset printing work convert towards the digital printing market? Hello, sir.
You see that I told you that in book printing, printers are going down. And I see there is a good opportunity now in digital printing. And yes, printer, that is the only course, I should say.
Okay, so this question was asked by Mr. Lakshmi from Tamil Nadu. Now we are moving on to the next question. This next question is coming up from Mr. Dheeraj Jha. Very interesting one, that he is asking that artificial intelligence can remove the jobs in printing industry.
Can you repeat, please?
Well, Mr. Dheeraj Jha wants to know that artificial intelligence can remove the jobs in printing industry.
I doubt. It's too. It will take too long a time. So at the moment, I think it is not like that.
I think Samir wants
so,
to
Mr. Dheeraj Jha, this is good news for you.
Okay, I was not aware that I have to unmute myself. I thought you have the control. Fine. But see, artificial intelligence is something which is coming up in every industry.
Yes.
So it is not that it will take away the jobs. In fact, artificial intelligence is getting implemented also now in the printing industry, because the very premise of artificial intelligence, if we say, it is typically the industry 4.0 story, which more or less, when you want to push the industrialization, or when you want to focus more on the output, it is extremely important to get your processes digitalized. So you have predefined processes. Why do you want the processes to be redefined and digitalized? Because if you want to remove a lot of operator involvement, then you try to automate those certain processes. And that is an area where printing industry is also getting more and more automized, which means equipment, whether these are pre-press equipment, presses or post-press equipment, they are getting automized. And typically they are getting run by integrated softwares. So you have one platform which is driving from the PDF that you get from the print buyer, color separations, impositions, ripping these files, sending it to the presses, then calibrating all the, the ink curves, all the preset functions, roller settings and stuff like that, including inline quality control, then getting these output of the presses moving to the post-press equipment, have the same software work on the post-press equipment as well. So you see now artificial intelligence will only come if the equipment are getting modernized, and there are various touch points. So you need a lot of sensors, a lot of electronic components where you can data mine, and then you can have a set result, the delta, and then it has to automatically correct. So I would say from an entrepreneurial perspective, it focuses more on the output or the productivity. And of course, from the labor perspective, you eliminate a lot of manual operations, a lot of them, and hence, skills then define a bit differently. From manual skills, you move a little bit more into the other skills that you need from your operators. But yes, it focuses on these two areas, and it is becoming a reality, like a navigated car, a navigated printing press, or an autonomous printing like a Google car. And I would say from Heidelberg, you will see that very soon. From this whole concept of philosophy, we call it as push to stop. So you push to stop the line, you don't push to start the line. A line is, production is autonomous or automatic, is just to stop, intervene to stop it.
Thank you so much. We'll move on towards next question. Next question is from Mr. Ravi. What amount of work do we expect to move from China to India with respect to paper boards packaging?
Can I take that question?
Yes, sir. Anybody can.
Yeah, so I think it's too early in the day to predict what kind of work can be shifted. But I think overall, if you look at the global scenario, which was happening even pre-COVID, that a lot of manufacturing was trying to de-risk from China alone being the only center. And during the last 2 years, if you see, even in India, a lot of toy and chocolate manufacturing have shifted from China. A classic example is toy manufacturing. And we have seen a huge growth in that sector. Even if you look at the mobile manufacturing, which was hardly there 3 years back in India, it has moved dramatically to India. Now, post-COVID, because of the factor of China being, the bad boy, I think a lot of people are being de-risking their manufacturing from China alone. And if you see some of the industries, for example, garment industries moved considerably to, places like Vietnam, Bangladesh, etc. Similarly, a lot of manufacturing will shift to India, provided the government of India is proactive and gives the right signals. But I believe that over a period of next 3 to 5 years, there'll be a huge opportunity for business moving from China to India. India having an advantage of even domestic market, and also coupled with export opportunity.
Okay. So,
like to
I
add,
think related with this,
Singh, may I just add one line?
Yeah,
Basically,
sure.
we've been talking of this whole thing in the future also. The potential of India to actually take away print jobs or any jobs for that matter. I think, as Ruchir Sharma, a noted economist, said, India is a country which disappoints the optimist and the pessimist by an equal measure.
Oh.
In a sense that there are optimists who says that India could have done better and India would do better, but I think India does not deliver. And there are equal number of pessimists which believe that India will actually collapse because of all the contradictions, but they have also surprised the pessimists. So I think given the current Atmanirbhar policy, given the current context of where the world is right now, given the context of where the anti-China sentiments are in the world, this is an excellent time frame for us to really leapfrog. I would like to look at it, from a sector perspective, industry perspective, and a state perspective. It is not just about Indian overall. I think if you take the overall Indian competitiveness, we will have disadvantages of some states also. But let the states, individual states, have a vision. I think why should jobs go to Vietnam? Andhra Pradesh is capable of competing with Vietnam. Why should textiles go to Bangladesh? West Bengal has the much wherewithal to compete against Bangladesh. Tamil Nadu has a wherewithal to compete against Singapore with IT professionals. So I think if we have a vision based on a state vision, we will be agile and nimble enough to take away jobs and markets from there and be competitive. So we need to be competitive, we need to be profitable. So I believe very clearly, as I'm an eternal optimist, I believe the next 2, 3, 4 years are the real years where if you don't do it, then we have missed the bus forever. But I think if we take it, I think we can leapfrog to that 5 trillion economy. Maybe not in 5 years, it may take 6, 7 years. But I think we have a state-led competitiveness of each state, cluster-based manufacturing. If we do that, then I think we will have a great future in this.
I just want to pitch in, Harjinder.
Yes, sir.
What RK said and what Rameshji talked about, I think the Indian government also to be more aggressive in taking a policy decision. I remember there was a Zoom call with Prakash Javadekar. And listen to me very carefully, a minister is saying that the Indian paper industry are not getting the pulp. In the sense, they are not getting the pulp because the wood you are not allowed to cut. The tree you are not allowed to cut. He said, we are looking at the scenario where the cutting of the tree will be the normal because we are going to plant the tree. Basically, much more year on year, rather we are going to develop the forest kind of a concept everywhere. So what these people, what RK have said that, we have an ample opportunity. According to me, the Samsung and the iPhone, everybody may come a manufacturing of there. Or I don't know whether the Indian leading entrepreneur can start manufacturing the mobile over here. And why to have the Chinese mobile? So I'm looking at in a different perspective that India, if the government is really progressive in their thought process and understand the need of the hours and then declare the various policy, then I think we have a much bigger and better opportunity for the Indian people to survive and to grow.
Definitely, sir. I do agree with you. Where there is will, there is way. So we have to listen to our suggestions and seriously work on them. And similarly, this is one connected question to which you have answered right now, that will in the long term manufacturing move out of China, or with time things will go back to the way they were? Now, how do you answer this?
No, I think there is an okay.
Go ahead.
Yes,
CG, go ahead.
So basically, there is a today, if you look at it, there is an anti-China sentiment across the world. The US and the Europeans are very angry that, and they hold responsible, whether that is right or not, like China are responsible for so many deaths in their country. And I believe that the Europeans and the Americans will do a lot of things. One is obviously an election year, and then secondly also they will also do a lot of things because they hold them accountable for the deaths. So I believe that this time there will be movement away from China on manufacturing. However, the economics of Chinese manufacturing was always an attractive one for everybody. But if India with his policies is able to move away somebody in the next 1-2 years, then that I would say is something like it's not a reversible process to go back to China again. And I think it is always definitely to de-risk that you don't put all the eggs in one basket, even if the Chinese cost is lower, and the Chinese cost cannot be lower again and again, because there is a labor cost, there is all those things which are WTO compliant. So I believe the manufacturing advantage of China over a period of next 1, 2, 3 years will come down, and maybe India can take maybe 30-40% of it, maybe other countries can do it.
Thank you so much. Now we are moving on to the next question by Mr. Viraj Vora. Now he has mentioned that he wants to buy a used offset machine for mono carton. Which machine you can suggest which can fulfill current carton manufacturing industry?
Well, that's a very easy answer, right? If you have a Heidelberg guy on this panel,
that should be answered by
if you have a Heidelberg guy on this panel,
obvious.
it's very obvious. Whether it is a brand new or a used machine, it has to be a Heidelberg. But that was an easy one.
So I'll now invite Mr. Ravin Joshi. Ravin Joshi ji to put up his question, please.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hello.
Yes, sir. Put up your question, please.
My question is for Mr. Kejriwal, because a lot of is said about commercial printers should now think of going for packaging printing. Sir, I really feel that, rather I would like to have guidance from Kejriwal that what is the difference between a commercial printer and a packaging printer. You see, only printing a duplex board cannot be called as a packaging printer. I feel packaging printer phenomena has to be explained in depth to the printer brothers. Otherwise, they are carrying a huge misunderstanding that it is very easy to convert from commercial to packaging. Sir, Kejriwal sir, I would like to guidance from you. What is the reality?
No, I think there is nothing like not possible. Every commercial printer can move to packaging, and if you look at the history of the growth of packaging industry, the printing industry or the printers who were in commercial printing has moved to packaging, and including our own company. We were never in packaging till about 1995. So there is nothing like impossible. But I think the mindset of doing packaging business is totally different, because one, you have to know the full process of packaging, right from pre-press, like workflow, till the finishing. Whereas in commercial printing, I think printing constitutes major manufacturing process. But in packaging, the pre-press, color combination, color consistency, die cutting and gluing with the modern, manufacturing or packing lines becomes very, very critical. That is first point. Second point, I think the packaging requires huge capital investment.
Correct.
Both in terms of capital assets and working capital. Because if you look at commercial printing, you get an order specifically, you convert it and supply it. There is nothing like much of WIP, neither FG. But in packaging, there is a huge, first of all, WIP because the processes are many. And secondly, with the current trend, you have to keep a lot of stocks of both raw material and finished goods. So the investment on packaging sector is huge, which you should be very clear. And with the current, customer competition and the trend of delayed payments, one has to be very, very clear that if you are willing to pay a huge working capital game, then only you should enter packaging. So these are some of the key things I would say differential between commercial printing and packaging. There could be many others, but I feel these are the two key points.
Thank you, sir. Next question, I'll request Mr. Ashwini Gupta ji to please ask his question.
Hello.
Hello. Yes, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Nice to see you all and have a very good webinar today on the issues. My question is, sir, how exports are possible sitting far from the ports, bearing the high transport costs and delay in supply, which are the key factors for the exports? How it is possible? Because the cost of transport and delay in supply, that is the main key factor for the exports, and sitting far from the ports, it is very difficult for the.
Ashwin, you refresh your question properly.
Yes, sir. Ashwini ji?
Hi, sir.
Yes, sir. Please be specific on your questions, and whom you want to ask the question, please specify.
Any panelist can give an answer. Mr. Ramakrishna or Mr. Bhuvnesh. Actually, he's into the sports and he's into the book printing, and it's very difficult to start exports from far sitting from the ports.
So that's why I'm saying that the government has to rethink over that. There is, we have raised these issues a lot of time with the logistics, and with the, you can say, Prime Secretary logistics have raised the issues. So government is thinking over that, but it is going to take time. Yes, but they are concerned. They are going to help it now. From dry port to movement from dry port to this there is something will happen very soon, I think.
It takes much time.
It will take time. I mean, it's not a. I told you that Sabarmala, that train which is from dedicated route, which they are planning to connect from
that is Nimrana to Mumbai.
That is Nimrana to
Mumbai.
Nimrana to Mumbai. Again, it will take time. How can I say about Nimrana? I mean, I'll let you know about that.
Okay. Yeah. Still, it is difficult.
Still, it is difficult, Nimrana. Yes, definitely from Nimrana, it is difficult.
Yes, definitely.
It's better that you move through by road. Instead of train, it is better to move through route that by road. That will be expensive.
The cost factor is very high.
Cost is definitely expensive.
Yeah.
That is why our export we are losing.
Yeah, definitely.
Thank you, sir. I hope you have been answered. So we'll take up the next questions. Now I'll request Subhash ji to please ask your question. Subhash ji, are you able to hear me? Okay, so we'll take up the new question. Now, this is a specific question and an interesting one for Bhuvnesh ji, that cancellation and postponement of book fairs globally, has this affected the export trade of books?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we expect our turnover to be down around somewhere around 50% this year, because 3 months gone. Since all the new projects, except I am again repeating that educational books, all they have been delayed. They will plan in September. So our 6 months have been gone. So I expect that 50% is straight away. Export orders have gone. That is my calculation. And as I told you that educational books, yes. But again, there is a reduction in print run. And if there are delays, certain publishers have withdrawn the order and they are printing in Europe.
One more similar question. I think it's for you only. That is there any possibility of exporting digitally printed books, which are typically short quantity?
It is very rare.
Okay.
Normally, digital printing, the one prints for immediate requirement. So for that matter, digital printing, and then you are air freighting it, or by sea, the air freighting is okay. By sea, it is not possible. And digital printing full color is much developed in Europe, I should say, rather than in India. So we can, that is difficult one.
Okay. So now we are going to take up this one last question, that will this COVID-19 situation reverse the sustainable packaging sentiment to some extent and will boost usage of plastics in packaging again, at least temporarily? What is the panelist opinion on this?
Can I take that?
Yeah, sure.
This is about
Anyone can take
sustainable packaging, right?
Yes.
No, I don't think the COVID will have a positive effect on plastic packaging. Sustainability and environment would continue to be the key drivers for customers and others to evaluate packaging. If you have seen during the lockdown, what are the one benefit that we have seen, that our skies are clear, we can see stars in the night, or we can see better roads and less dust. So I think which will continue to play, and sustainability is going to be a big factor, and you never know that what kind of environment effects we can have, which could be as damaging as a pandemic because of environment. So I don't think sustainability would increase the plastic packaging, but I think on the contrary, sustainability factor and the regulations will give rise to more paperboard packaging. That's my personal feeling.
Okay. So thank you so much. With this, we have come to the end of the... Yes, sir.
Arjinder, 1 minute.
Yes, sir.
I think you ask the people to have the questionnaire to the panelists, because there may be, I'm sure there may be so many questions for them. Ask them to email to you, and then you can forward to the various people to answer. Because this is a very important session on a print future and a holistic view. I think let's take the full advantage of our great people, those who are here, Ramesh ji, RK, Samir, and Bhuvnesh Sheth, Let the printing industry get benefited out of them,
We have already disclosed that through the chat box, and we have conveyed your message to all the attendees. And we were expecting a few more questions, but since time is running short, So we have already conveyed to them that if there is any question, they may ask us and we'll get back to them through mail. So now in the end, I'll now request Shri K. Rajendran Ji, Honorary General Secretary of All India Federation of Master Printers, to please give your closing remarks on this session. Thank you. So over to you, sir.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, Rajendra, go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Rajendra. Before going to our final, I like to have some opinions and views from the host, Mr. S.R. Sharma ji, because today we have conducted our web council meeting, the different part of the printing technical areas. One is our machine manufacturer, Mr. Samir Patkar from Heidelberg is there, and from the packaging industry, Mr. Ramesh Kejriwal is there, and from the plate pre-press, very experiencedly, Mr. C.G. Ramakrishna was there, and for the book printing post-press, Mr. Bhuvanesh Shetji is there. So this is the first time I actually very much enjoyed this web council from the different part of our printing technology. And this is the idea, and the discussion is taken place 10 days or 15 days back with Mr. Sharma ji, and why we are not actually conducting the future printing. So after that, myself and our office bearers are discussed with the president, and finally we actually conclude this, and we have to make it very success for our federation. And unfortunately, the starting time I am not participated because of some personal issues. My father's is not well. I request our Joint Secretary, Mr. Dattaji, has to take part in this the starting time. Really, he has done a very marvelous and very proper way. He has actually conducted this meeting. And before go to that final vote of thanks or something, I want some the views from Mr. S.R. Sharma ji. This web council has suit to you, or it is matched to you for your thinking. Mr. Sharma ji?
What do you say?
No, what you expected is actually fulfilled today, I think. What is the views from you on this?
Well, I can only say that I think my dream came true, because the selection of the people to whom I always admire as the great personality of the industry, they came out very beautifully. Like, Ramesh ji, let me start with Ramesh ji only. Ramesh ji came out very beautifully talking about the various sector and how the business can be, converted from the unorganized sector, people also to be organized and all that. I think the way in which Samir Patkar talked about the industry, the overall view, and the RK is a great economist. I can tell you that he knows precisely how the situation is going to be and how he has correlated with the, even the government giving away the 20 lakh crore, to the various, the plan which they were talking about, and how he has beautifully analyzed. And of course, Bhuvanesh, as usual, talking about the export and the difficulty. I think this particular, what I was looking at, Rajendran,
yes,
very, very true, because according to me, people are absolutely scared that they are going to be finished. The printer, the anxiety, the upset what they have, and the uncertainty which is mounting on their head. And I think we also spoke to earlier days, what is going to be the future if the government doesn't give any subsidy and this and that. But I think the time has come, Rajendra, you will all agree that we have to make India proud, wherein we are quite capable, as Bhuvanesh said, that 45% efficiency of the Chinese worker over and above the Indian worker, I can ask a counter question to him. Can we not develop internally a vocational training program in their own company to enhance their skill and then compare themselves with Chinese or any better country on the efficiency part? I think the onus also lies on us, how we treat and how we educate and how we make our people to perform in our own factory. I think this is, Rajendra, overall it went very well. I'm more than satisfied. And I think I must say that panelists have done a wonderful job. And I believe that those who have taken the part in this particular the session, and also this is on live tube, this is a live on YouTube. So I think the people must be observing every moment and every minute about the participation of these people. I think great opportunity for all of us, and a big thank you to all of them. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sharmaji. Thank you for your eminent speech. I really proud today given a chance for the final vote of thanks. Our panelists, very experienced persons, today really is very useful to our printing industry at this moment, critical stage. It is the very must required for us. And the panelists in here, this is the first time I actually saw like this panelist, different areas. So it's very useful to our all members. I thank our president, past presidents, and our GC members, GP members, and our moderator, Mr. Ajinder, and AIFMP, our office bearers, and all participants. Nearly at the time of starting the meeting, it was really got to 220 something participants are there. I am extremely happy for propose this formal vote of thanks because of that. This second web council organized by our AIFMP on the most important topic of our print future. It is heartening to note that the esteemed panelists have really given a holistic view of our printing industry with their scholarly presentations and discussions. We thank each and every one of the wonderful panelists, along with our office bearers, for bringing out the best aspects of our topic. That is a very important one. We also thank all the participants who have enthusiastically participated in this web council event for their benefit. Enthusiasm to succeed is at the root of everything. Enthusiasm to succeed is at the root of everything. Without it, there are only alibis. AIFMP and its member will always work with enthusiasm and organize many more such web council events in different categories for the benefit of our printers fraternity. Thank you, one and all. Thank you so much.
And Rajendra, finally, we also have to work for the welfare of our Indian industry also. Okay.
That is a very important.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Not only from India, Sharmaji, now our Mr. C.G. Ramakrishna and Mr. Bhunesh Shetty is also very clearly, they notice that one. Now, all over the world, Europeans and US and other countries they are very much misunderstanding with the Chinese product and everything, Chinese administration, everything. They are not encouraging import from Chinese, especially. India is also take the same decision on that. Definitely we hope. So hereafter, what is the mode of our India is make in India. Only apart from the machinery side, Heidelberg or some other Kumari or something, we are not able to manufacturing here. But other than that, post-press categories.
We will never know the future lies.
Yeah, that part I am not entering in that because it is very critical for us. Definitely for the so many years after HMP, we are not competing anything. So, post-press and pre-press and other all aspects, definitely we have to fulfill ourselves in India. Especially, don't take mistake. We have to work our industry. We have to take our industry with what I was saying dramatically, and we have to show our interest in Make in India. It is a very important to our future because Corona is teachers like the same thing. So we never based on China better in the future. Everyone has to take the challenge of this. This is my opinion. Don't take mistake. I am not the opposite to any other countries, but the situation is going like this means we have to take strong decision against this Chinese product and everything. Otherwise, tomorrow there is a possibility they dump the commodities here and they dominate even in the printing line also, not in the pre-press or other additives. Definitely they they're going to start some printing units, big printing units, and it will affect our printing industry. So never give chance to China. Be India and buy Indian is a better for us in future. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. We all believe in Make in India concept. And with this, we come to the end of the session. And I thank you thank you all for your time in participating.
I want to say.
I only have one thing to say.
Yes, sir, sure.
Before we just wind.
Sure, sir.
See, while COVID has become a part of our history, we have to take this oath and all fight together that it does not become a part of our destiny. And we all play a very important role in doing that. We have to define our destiny and make sure COVID will not be there. So it's everybody's fight. And if everybody's together, I think we can easily sail through. It's not so difficult.
Very well said, sir. Together we are really going to win.
Rameshji.
Sorry.
Rameshji.
Haji.
You said that now you can see the clean atmosphere and you can see the Taj and all that. You know, I always get envy on Samir. He's next to a lovely, Ari Milk Colony. He's getting the topmost fresh air.
Yeah. At least lucky on that part at the moment, but at home. So.
Okay. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rameshji.
Thank you.